这个月我们提到了许多 AI 能帮助我们的沟通方法，这一集就让我们来分析不同产出 PPT 的 AI 工具。Let's find out what these tools can do for us. Hello, 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管与沟通力的 Podcast. I'm Sherry, an educator, certified coach, and style enthusiast. 我相信专业有效的沟通是语言跟逻辑的完美结合。
And I'm Nick, a startup consultant, corporate trainer, and late-night gaming junkie. I believe great communication requires the right mindset and solid frameworks.
我们希望带给大家职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。
Join us each week as we share our experience, research, and methodologies to take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everyone, welcome back to another Executive Plus podcast. In this episode, we're moving away from the generative nature of just text to how we can visualize things in the future. And we've had our resident design expert and presentation guru, Andrew, look at all the different AI tools that he's been testing out to see how can we make our presentations not only more beautiful, but actually work more for us in the way that we think and the way we talk.
I like how Nick says you're a presentation guru. How do you like that title?
Because it's fake.
The guru.
That is not a generated title. That is a real title.
I'm not even sure what guru means, but it's simply, for our audience, it simply means that I have spent more time than anyone ever should playing with presentation software and making presentations for people who don't know what they want. So,
Okay.
I accept.
但是会做这个 episode 当然是这个月我们的 theme 就是 generative AI 嘛，对不对？那 generative AI 呢，其实用在 presentation design 上面，最近真的有非常大的改变。自从 ChatGPT 出来以后，因为大家都在想说我把这个东西用在哪里，那一个很成熟的 application， 其实没有很成熟，但是突飞猛进的 application 就是 presentation design。所以今天呢，我觉得开头我们可以先讲一下 presentation tools。How are they changing? So the first part, right? How are they changing? And what does this mean for all of you who do spend time playing around with presentation software, from Microsoft PowerPoint to Google Slides to Canva to even newer tools, which we'll talk about. But we won't just talk about what is changing. We'll also talk about what will stay the same, regardless of how good AI gets.And then the second part of this episode we'll introduce all of you to a few new tools, some of which you may have heard of already. Full disclosure, I am an investor in one of them, and I'll say exactly which one. So I'm not exactly 100% unbiased, but still, I've spent a lot of time really playing with these tools. Let's get going. 第一个是Generative AI 现在到底是怎么样在改变 presentation design 这件事情？第一件事呢 ，Generative AI 我们其实在讲文字，像 email writing 啊，你们如果听那些 episodes，Generative AI 生成式，它讲的就是生成嘛，对不对？它可以生成文字，但是它不只可以生成文字，它还可以生成现在 PowerPoint 是一整份的 presentation。所以我们今天要介绍的这些工具呢，其实你都可以直接给它一个用自然的语言，你就跟他讲说，我想要做一个 presentation， 然后这个 presentation 可能是有关，随便想一下台湾的政治体系，或者是介绍一下台湾，就帮我做一个10页的 presentation 介绍台湾，其实这样子就可以了。然后这些 presentation software 都可以直接帮你生出一整份的 presentation， 有架构，里面它甚至还有图片，还有 copywriting， 然后你再进去改。所以对于很多人不知道，我有时候因为有时候你要弄一个 presentation， 你需要有一个 starting point 嘛。Sometimes getting started is the hardest. And so these AI tools become really good ways to start.
Yeah, I would say like anytime I'm testing one of these tools, that's the first function that I use. It's usually the function that they also offer you as a way to get started, because most of them are still using a back end of large language models like OpenAI's, ChatGPT, etc. But for very generic like starting points, you can just like input, here is a topic or paragraph I would like to know more about, and then it'll just output a presentation. So if anyone listened to our getting started overview of generative AI episode, this is a lot closer to how Sherry used things. I just need ideas. So give me the top 10 of blah, 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 and then I'll just output a pretty visual representation of what would normally just be text in Bard or OpenAI.
For me, I think my role in this episode is that 我就是一个第一个是 PowerPoint design 的小菜鸟. I don't really know much about the design. I know what looks good and what looks horrible, 但是我真的对于 design 的部分没有任何的一些想法。那在接下来呢，我觉得我也是不像 Nick 跟 Andrew 一样那么的善于跟 AI 来沟通。So I think I'm just going to learn a lot here. And I'm curious as to which of the tool that Andrew's going to talk about will actually help someone like me to get it started.
回到刚刚 Nick 讲的，我其实还有碰到一个工程师，他说因为他是工程师，所以他 day job 就是 programming 嘛，但是他也带团队，所以他也要跟团队讲一些什么 engineering project management 之类的东西。那他要给这些 presentation 的时候，他甚至就直接问其中一个工具，帮我生出来一个，就讲工程师的 project management。然后居然那个 AI 生出来的东西呢，他看了一下就说呀，8、9不离10，差不多就是这个样子。改都不改，直接上。毕竟它只是一个 backdrop，就是一些文字在它后面，让它可以去讲这些主题。但是生成式 AI 其实不只是生成式，不只是 generative AI， 也有另外一个功能叫 editorial AI。现在呢，这些 presentation 的工具，你甚至可以，它生出来 presentation 以后，假设你看第一页的文字，然后你不太喜欢这个文字，你觉得它太长了，你就直接 select 这个文字，告诉 AI 说帮我把它变短，或是这个太无聊了，所以直接跟他讲by the way 用中文，因为它串的是 ChatGPT， 所以用中文或是用英文都可以，直接说 this is too boring, make it more delightful, or it's a bit stiff, like I want to have fun with it, so rewrite it for me. So it's editorial AI.
And this is a lot closer to how you and I typically use AI. For me, I've been testing out these platforms and it'll make something and be like, oh, that's reasonable. But if I was like to dedicate time to use these things, I would have like, here is a presentation that I have made. I really don't like this slide, or I think this could be better, or I don't like these kind of headlines. That's what I would want to get out of a presentation software, right? Yeah. So it's like, how can it improve what I already have?
Right. Actually, at this point, I was going to talk about what will stay the same, even with these capabilities. But maybe let's just get into the tools. Yeah. And once we introduce the tools, then let's talk about what will stay the same, what will not change. Okay. So we're gonna talk about 4 tools today. The first one is called Gamma, Gamma. Second one is called Tome. That's Tome. Third one is, a lot of people will know this already, Canva. Originally didn't have AI functions. They have introduced AI functions. The fourth one is called Beautiful AI. So 4 tools. And I gotta disclose at this point, I am very happily an investor in Gamma. So I will talk, just because I invested in Gamma and I've spent more time playing with it. I'll talk a little bit longer about it, but I will be fair to all of them. So let's start with Gamma. And actually, 其实这些工具他们都还蛮像的。我刚刚就有提过了 Gamma 的 workflow， 这些工具所有的 workflow 就是你可以给它一个 topic sentence， 你就给它一个 topic 就好了。Gamma 就是这个样子。Gamma 你进去 Gamma， 你一开始就跟他讲说我要做一个 presentation， 像是 10 unconventional tips on business English in the international workplace. So the next step is going to do is it's going to generate an outline. So they're like, okay, if you want to give such a presentation, you can talk about these 8 points. 然后你就可以编辑这些 8 points. 你说我不要这个你帮我加这个 topic. 然后你 outline edit 好之后，他就直接再选一个 theme， 就他也可以叫你选，他有一些 custom theme， 就是什么样的 color 是暗的还是亮的还是什么，选完以后，他真的就会在你面前把这个 presentation 做出来。You can actually see the process of the writing happening. This is not specific to Gamma. Like I said, if you use any of the other tools, it's gonna work more or less the same way. And after your presentation is done, then you can start editing. And you can edit either manually, like adjusting, adding pictures, rewriting words, adding headlines, adding pages, or you can tell the AI to do it for you. For example, I would ask it for, oh yeah, that's great. Now, can you build a table of contents page for me? And it will actually take all of the slides, summarize them into a table of contents page. And you can say like, yeah, add a picture as background for me. And it's going to do it for you. 所以这些 again 这些东西你都可以手动或者是叫 AI 帮你做，这就是它很方便的地方。然后我在用的时候，像我昨天晚上在做一个 informational PowerPoint， 然后我需要，因为我在帮某个人安排他的某个同事安排他的 schedule， 然后真的，因为有时候你就是要 copy paste 嘛，对不对？他 schedule 是周一到周五，然后我真的就跟他讲说，哦，你把这个 schedule 就是帮我 copy， 周一到周五帮我列出来，然后每一个都给我一个 table， 然后他就自动把它生出来。And then I said, because it's for a Japanese colleague, so I just said, rewrite this like all in Japanese. And it did that.
To me, and this will compare to the other tools you'll talk about, is like Gamma is the one that feels like it's an AI tool that has presentation capabilities. So it's like working with Gamma feels much closer to working with ChatGPT or Bard. It just has a visual component. Whereas certain other things, we'll talk about Canva later. Canva feels like a design tool that has AI capabilities, right? So just the way that you approach it, the logic and what it does feels very different. So with Gamma, something you already pointed out, it just seems like, okay, I have this idea in mind, and Gamma just makes it much more visual and easier to digest for someone who's looking at it.
Yeah.
Whereas other ones, it's like I kind of have to have a design sense in order to use effectively. And I think I appreciate that from Gamma's perspective. It'd just be like, okay, I'm just going to ask it something like build a table, build a chart, take this information and put it into bullet points, but make that beautiful. And it can do that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And that also points actually to Gamma's advantage and disadvantage. Because you don't need to be a designer to use Gamma, because it will just put elements into the right place for you. It's not that flexible. So if you're a professional designer and you're like, no, I want this box to sit exactly 65 degrees northwest of this word, you cannot do that. Whereas, for example, in PowerPoint, you can do that.
但对我来讲，我觉得如果你也是跟我一样，对于 design 的部分没有太强烈的要求，我觉得 Gamma 它的这种方式，你会很及时的看到它的 design， 它的 visual based on what you want。那我可能就不会觉得说，哦，I want that box to be a little bit wider, or like, oh, it's a bit tilted. Like 对我来讲，我真的不会看到这些所谓的 flaws, where you know a lot of designer would actually see. It's fine. Like I think it's just convenient enough for me to see my request turn into visual right away.
One last thing I will say about Gamma, but this is also true, by the way. A lot of the advantages that we talk about for Gamma is true for the next one, Tone. 就是它像是 presentation, 但是又有点不像 presentation. 因为它其实是一个有点像网页式的，你可以把它分享给任何人，然后你也可以把东西放进去，像你可以把 YouTube video 直接放进去，你可以把 podcast 放进去，你可以把 Twitter, actually after Elon Musk made it impossible to view tweets without a Twitter account, which is so stupid, 现在不行了。可是你甚至还可以把什么？你还可以把整个网页放进去，然后人家在浏览你的 presentation 或是你在 present 的时候，你只要 double click 就直接在那个视窗里面就直接到网站，然后你还可以把一整个 Google Sheet 放进去，或者是把 Google Sign Up Form 或者是 Figma 的 3D Model 都可以全部放进去，或者你看到一个很好玩的 TikTok video 也都可以放进去。 So it's a presentation, but it's also a website, it's also a document, and it keeps like it's just dynamic.
This is something that you introduced more along the way of you use it, but to me it makes a lot more sense, and when I've been playing with it, I've leaned this direction. Is it like it's a visual version of Notion? For those of you who are not familiar with Notion, it's basically a note-taking app that has a lot more powerful capabilities. But one of the great things about Notion is you can turn a Notion into a publicly shareable document / like almost website. And so to me, it's just like when I make in company presentations, I usually don't use a PowerPoint deck anymore. I actually use Notion or a Lark or some other note-taking app's page, and I just try and make it more visual. Gamma lets me live in both of these worlds, which is I can take this and I can make all my notes very visually stimulating in a way that's very easy to scroll. I can embed links, I can embed documents, and I can just show everything almost as though it's a website so that you get the benefits of the visual part of a presentation, but you get the flexibility of a note-taking app.
No, definitely. And on that point, something that they're working on, and that's really important, 他们有初步的功能，但这个之后很重要很重要，就是它现在你可以把你的文件，现有的文件，不管是 Word document 还是 PowerPoint presentation 或甚至是 Notion 的 page 丢进去，然后它就帮你弄成 presentation。这个现在还有点不太成熟，就是你丢进去的时候有一些怪怪的事情会发生。它这个东西怎么消失了，或者是这个怎么跑到这一页，或者什么。但是这个东西越来越成熟的话，以后大家现有的文件都可以丢进去。Now, maybe that's a good segue into the second tool, Tome 呢跟 Gamma 其实非常相近的一个工具，它比较不同的地方，那有些人会比较喜欢 Tome 是因为 Gamma 看起来就是非常的 colorful， 很年轻，然后感觉比较 relax 一点，连他们的用字什么都不太一样。 Tome 看起来就是黑色，你进去就是整个是黑色的，非常有质感，然后看起来也比较 serious。 所以你如果比较喜欢这种比较黑色，你知道很有质感那种界面的话， Tome 搞不好会比 Gamma 要好。 Tome 用起来呢，大部分的功能也其实都跟 Gamma 蛮像。那 Tome 有一个地方我真的要说，它比 Gamma 要强，就是 Tome 它在找照片， Gamma 在找照片的时候，它会找网络上面的照片，或者是大家如果有用过 Unsplash 这种 royalty free images， Gamma 是串到 Unsplash， Tome 是串到 DALL-E OpenAI 的 DALL-E 2。 Tome 很强的东西是你给他一个 topic， 说我要弄一个 presentation it's about this topic， Tome 会帮你用 DALL-E 的 engine 帮你生出属于你的照片，不是照片是图片，它不能生出照片，它生出图片。而且我发现呢，大部分可能你10个图片里面有5-6个都生出来的都 result 都非常非常的好，这是我很佩服他们的。所以那个 backend 应该是他们很会去从你的 presentation topic 你写的东西再去弄成给 DALL-E 的 prompt， 然后就 prompt 它，那个真的很厉害。
I think what's interesting about Tome is the pain point that they are addressing is the logic, and we've seen this over and over again, is that people spend way too much time selecting visual, right? Like if you have to make a presentation, probably 50% of the time that you spent making your presentation is just scrolling through images and icons that you want to use. And it's not even necessary. It's just something like we naturally feel like I want the perfect image to match this text. And like, oh, I find the image, but like the direction is wrong or the color scheme doesn't match like my wording. Tome is just like, no. We're just going to customize all your images so that you don't waste a lot of time doing this. Right? I think that that's like a very different angle or approach to what the problem people have with presentation makes.
Yeah. And since it's such an obvious pain point, right? All of these tools, I believe, are going to have it. All of them. Because it makes too much sense for you to describe in natural language what you're building and for them to pick or generate, right? Even better, generate the images for you.
I think the generate helps just because you're not beholden to copyright, right? Like there's always that perfect image you find, and then iStock Images is like asking you for $8,000 for that one image, right? Or if you go through all these royalty-free ones, it's not exactly what you want, but it's just like, okay, it's fine, generate it. Yeah. Doesn't matter. Then you can have literally whatever you want.
我们现在 move 到第三个 Canva. Canva is actually a tool that a lot of people would be familiar with. I wish I had invested in Canva, but no. And they're worth, tens of billions of dollars right now. So the timing is gone. Canva 真的发展得很好，然后已经有很多人在用了。它看起来，刚刚 Nick 已经有提到，它看起来真的就像是一个比较传统的，但是是完全 online， 让大家很容易协作的 presentation design tool。我们的公司其实也非常常用 Canva。那还有 Canva 有一个好处就是不用付费，它的功能就已经非常非常好了。Their mistake our advantage, right? 那 Canva 最近加入了 生成式 AI 的功能。所以我们刚刚讲的可以做的事情，其实在 Canva 也可以做。就是你进去 Canva， 但是有点难找，因为毕竟 Canva 是一个传统的 PowerPoint design tool， so 他们把 AI 功能加进去以后，弄得有点找不到，因为他们功能太多了，所以你要找AI 你到底在哪里？找到以后呢，你就可以跟他讲，跟其他的 tool 都一样，我要生成这个 presentation， 他就把你生出来。
Back to something I said earlier, for me, Canva it's a design tool that they have added AI to. And that's very obvious because Canva has pre-existed this generative AI push. So they were definitely catching up where the logic was behind that. But then what drives me crazy about Canva's AI is you can output a generic presentation, same as the other tools. But once you go into editing that presentation, it is not even close to as easy as the others because it's just like, oh, do you want to edit this image? You can use AI. Oh, do you want to edit this text? You can use AI. Whereas the others took the path of ChatGPT, Bard, etc. It's like, I describe what I want, then it will help me adjust it. To me, this feels like the difference between a Tesla versus other electric cars. If you've ever sat in a Tesla or talked to someone who has a Tesla, the entire car is operated on basically an iPad. It is a computer that has 4 wheels on it. If you sit in any other electric car, it looks exactly like their gas car. It just happens to be electric. So to me, Canvas feels like that second one. Is like it feels exactly like a really high-powered presentation tool, which is why we switched from PowerPoint to it. But then AI is just like, oh, and we have AI. Yeah.It's not an AI tool that does design.
对，没有错。但是这也代表说 Canva 有一些 advantage 是 Gamma 跟 Tone 没有办法比的。因为 Canva 它本身就是一个 graphic design 的工具，对不对？所以它真的是非常非常的，你要做什么都可以。你要弄2条线、3条线、4条线交叉，把它放到这个角度，把这个照片放到这边，把这个照片变成迷彩色的，然后再把它弄到 like you can do anything you want, just like you can do them in a Keynote or we haven't mentioned Keynote because Apple sucks at AI, right? You can do anything you want. Whereas Tone and Gamma are more limited because they feel like modules.You drag and drop or you tell the AI to put this here and there. 但是你如果要做一些比较真的很 customized 的设计 Canva 还是比他们强的。所以像今天给大家一个例子，今天我如果要假设到国外跟去一个很正式的 conference， 然后我需要 custom designed slides， 我应该还是会用 Canva。但是今天我如果要建的东西是我需要它蛮快很方便，然后 AI 来帮我，然后它不需要 customized 真的 customized design， 我可能就会用 Tone 或者是 Gamma。 好，我们 move 到第4个工具，这个比较短一点，因为这个工具它叫做 Beautiful AI。Beautiful AI 呢，听起来好像是把 slides 变得超级 beautiful， right？ 但是它强的地方，它很好玩的地方其实不是这个，它很好玩的地方其实是把数据融入到你的 slide 里面。所以你如果到 Beautiful AI 的话，像我到 Beautiful AI 的首页，我就直接跟他讲说 OK， 我想要台湾的经济成长 One slide on economic growth in Taiwan. It literally like found the data on Taiwan's economic growth for the past 10 years and turned it into a bar chart for me and put it on the slide. I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. And when I tried to do anything else, they were like, oh, you gotta pay first. I'm like, hell no, I'm not paying you. 所以呢，我跟大家讲，我没有试 Beautiful AI 剩下，因为我不愿意马上就给他钱，因为我最讨厌那种人家你去他的网站，他就说，给我钱 ，like do anything, give me money first. I'm like, hell no, I'm not giving you money. 但是 Beautiful AI 给我一个 glimpse into the future, which is when you're building these presentations, imagine being in a room building a presentation live with your colleagues, and you can literally call up any data via something like ChatGPT or Bard connected to the internet. And you can say, I want to know, for example, the 50 most populous cities in Asia and rank them by best to worst air quality. And I want it in heat map form. This is kind of ridiculous, but in the future, this is going to happen. I fully believe it. It's going to be able to pull that up and put it onto a slide for you.
Yeah, you can imagine a situation where like now, today, you'd be like, oh, okay, we had this meeting. we need to answer A, B, C questions. Let's come back next week and then we'll talk about what we found. With this type of AI, you wouldn't have to do that in meeting. Like the first thing would just be like, okay, what are the best shipping schedules for our product? And based on our timeline, how would that look? And an AI in that meeting would just be like, boom, here.
Yep.
Then you can make that decision in real time. And I think, yeah, you're right there. It's like with beautiful AI, it's giving you a glimpse of that possibility. If you have the data or if you know how to pull that data very quickly, if you could visualize it in a simple way, it doesn't even have to be beautiful. It just has to be very easy to read. If you could do that in a meeting, a lot of these decisions that fall between days, fall between different meetings, you could just happen. Be like, okay, we need to answer this question. Find me that information. Let's talk about it on the slide.
So I've been listening intently from the two gurus talking about these 4 tools. And I'm just wondering, for listeners like me, right, 可能对于 presentation design 没有太多的一些经验。那 I wonder if you guys can like make a recommendation very concisely, like by maybe just filling the blanks of the sentence. If you want blank, use blank. If you guys can do that for us. 就是可能讲出4个 tool 它有一些比较突出的一些 strength， 那你们会依照这个 strength 会去 recommend 什么样子的 tools?
Here's how I would recommend it, and I would take it down to the 2 tools that we have used more often. If you want to visualize your own ideas and notes in a way that is clear, then I would use Gamma. If you don't really need flexible design, you don't need anything to be micro-adjustable down to your own preferences, but you want something that basically takes the note-taking power of a Notion, but makes it more visual for other people to look at, Gamma. If you really care about the flexibility of design and you just need a little bit of help, what Andrew talked about, the editorial AI, then I would use Canva.
其实差不多诶。今天如果真的是就像我讲的，如果要到一个你是要给一个 TED Talk 好了，然后你需要我就是设计我的 slide， 我就是希望它长这个样子，然后你有一些 particular ideas， 这个地方一定是白色，这个地方一定是要剪成，然后我想要放这些 picture， 但是我要放到左边或右边的这个角度，还真的还是用 Canva 比较好。尤其你如果有 design background， 还是用 Canva 比较好。但今天你如果想要 actually 我会加一个用 Gamma 或者是用 Tome 的理由，就是你今天要给的 presentation， 如果你就是要让 AI 帮你把这些 ideas 还有文字还有图片把它生成出来，你想要比较方便啊，但是看起来还是 design 的蛮好的，那就用 Gamma 或者是 Tome。然后呢，尤其你如果希望在你 present 的时候，你想要给大家看一个 YouTube video 啊，或是给大家放一段音乐给大家听，或者是突然给大家看一个网站，那你也应该要用 Tome 或者是 Gamma。因为 as we all know, trying to embed these online assets or YouTube videos or anything like that into PowerPoint, kill me now. Like, kill me now. 然后那些还会你从 Apple 的电脑上面做，然后把它放到 PC 上面，然后它就整个 go crazy. So don't do it. So we've talked a lot about these different AI tools and what AI can do for you in the process of building your presentation, right? And it's apparent that AI will be able to do more and more of the work for you, from laying out slides to copywriting to picking photos, even calling out data potentially. But something that you will have to do by yourself, regardless, I believe, is to do the hard thinking in building your presentation. Because when you're preparing to go on stage, talk to people for 30 minutes, for an hour, even just for 10 minutes, that's precious time that people are giving you to listen to you. And you better be bringing value to them. And it better not be 100 ideas that may be like, yeah, I'll forget them tomorrow. Because a great presentation still comes down to that one aha, that one wow, I never thought about this. And that takes hard thinking, hours and hours of hard thinking. You're still going to have to do that regardless. And if you can do that, whether you use Gamma, Canva, PowerPoint, or you just go up there by yourself without visual support, you'll still be a good speaker.
Content is king.
Content is king.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed our overview of the different presentation tools that you can use and work with AI to improve the way that you communicate. We'll have all the links in the show notes, and we'll have a specialty link for Gamma where you can receive extra credits by signing up using our referral link because, of course, our wonderful investor in Gamma, Andrew, is here.
Free AI links.
Free AI
the
links.
credit is for you to use AI for free.
So be sure to check that out. If you have any other questions or feedback about these type of tools, be sure to let us know on any of the ways to connect with us. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Take care.
The Executive Plus podcast is a Presentality Group production, produced and hosted by Sherry Fang and Nick Howard. You can search us on Facebook, 主管英文 Executive Plus. You can also find us on Instagram, Communication R&D, and email us at sherry@epstyleplus.com.